You're tuned in to B&T Unscripted. Get ready for raw, real, and unfiltered conversations with the award-winning radio show host Tiffany Kay and her co-host and fiancé Brandon. It's life, love, and laughter. Unscripted, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Buckle up. You're listening to B&T Unscripted.
Okay. Ready to go?
Yeah.
You don't sound very enthusiastic this time.
Well, I don't know. I'm nervous now.
Yeah, because you're in the hot seat this time.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's my turn. Yeah, the spotlight is on.
You thought you were getting away with it last week doing the spotlight on me.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. It was cool, though, getting to interview you.
Yeah.
You know, just winging it.
Yes.
You know, too.
Speaking of that, thank you to all the support and questions we got and comments from all of you who listened. It was fun to share my story and, you know, get people involved and kind of learn how radio really works behind the scenes. So that was fun. By the way, we haven't mentioned it, but welcome back to B&T Unscripted. I'm Tiffany. That's Brandon. Yes, we're an engaged couple. Yes, we love doing audio together. Mm-hmm. This is our stories.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle podcast for all. So this episode is actually going to be about Brandon because last week, as I mentioned, you interviewed me about my radio career, kind of what led us to this podcast. And so this week, I am returning the favor.
Yes.
I'm calling it a favor. And I want to interview you, especially your military side, military mental health side, because there's a lot of our listeners and a lot of people who are military or previous or had someone in their family.
Yeah.
And not only that, like mental health, you're getting your master's in psychology, so there's a lot there to do with that. It's a trending topic.
Yes, it's very, like you said, it's trendy now.
It is.
Too, though, and it's kind of weird. Well,
we'll get into that.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say, well, I do want to get into that. Yeah.
I'll explain it. Yeah.
But this episode is all about Brandon.
Yep.
What got you here? So, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Long ago. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
We know you grew up in Virginia.
Yep.
You're from Caroline County.
Yep.
And you got into the Marines. We'll start with that part, right? You got into the Marines when you were, what, 17?
17, yeah. As my family signed that waiver or whatever to get me in early, the delayed entry or something, whatever it's called nowadays. So.
And I had asked you when we were dating, like, what made you go to the Marines? Did you always want to be one? Like, what did you want to be as a kid, right? Because some kids are like, oh, that's what I want to do, you know? But you had an interesting answer. Mm-hmm. What was yours?
I wanted to be like a ninja, you know? And, you know, as a kid, because I think my dad showed me, like, a Bruce Lee...
like Kung Fu fighting,
Jackie Chan movies
Everybody
and stuff
was
like that.
Kung Fu fighting.
And I was always into that, like the whole, you know, Kung Fu thing.
Yeah.
And, once I saw Bruce Lee, it was a wrap. I was like, I want to do that.
This is what I want to do.
I want to do that, like karate kick people in the forehead and stuff like that. And, you know, I wanted to be a ninja because they look cool and they're
of course.
You know, sneaky. And like, but they're really tough too, right?
Yeah.
And but as I got older, I realized that that's probably not gonna happen. You know, so
you weren't gonna become a ninja.
Yeah.
Well, you not only that, you did end up doing martial arts growing up.
Yep, I started when I was in 6th grade, but I've always, like, when I watched the movies when I was younger, I would go outside and try to, like, beat up, like, imaginary things, you know? So I was, you can see, like, little me just running across the yard, like, pretending I'm, like, a ninja with a stick, right?
With a stick.
Or something.
Why-ya?
Yeah, it's like, and I was always like that. I was always outside doing that.
But the thing that I love you, but the thing that I hate about you and about people who can do this is that you could watch something, you still can to this day, and just pick it up watching it. Yep. Or hear something. You're one of those people, which is an incredible skill I do not have, so I'm jealous of all of you. But anyway, so you got into martial arts. So kind of ninja-esque, you know, you've always had this urge to kind of fight and protect. And not only that, I have to brag, you were a junior Olympian with martial arts.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
but still, you were.
Yeah.
And then that, of course, I'm sure was part of what led you into the military.
Yeah, I mean, I was like my dad's side of the family was always military. And my mom's dad, once we met him later down the road because she was adopted, he was I think he retired from the Coast Guard.
Oh, okay.
So
It's kind of in your blood.
it's in my blood type deal. So, and I would always go visit my uncle on my dad's side, and he was a Marine. He was like a career Marine and all that craziness. And we would go to Camp Lejeune on the summer, in the summer.
Really?
And, you know, if you're not familiar with Camp Lejeune, it's in Jacksonville, North Carolina. We would go to Onslow Beach a lot when I was younger, and we would be on base. And I would see all the Marines and stuff, and I think you would see them like coming from the field.
Yeah.
You know, all like camouflaged up and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that's so cool. You know, I was like, maybe I could do that. You know, because I'm around it so much, and most of my dad's side were Marines. My dad was Army, and his other brother was Army, but majority of them were Marines too. So. But I was just around the Marine thing so much more.
I was going to say, how did you pick? Because I have to share this funny story. You always said to me, part of the reason you picked was they had the cooler uniforms.
Yeah. It's like...
You're like, I like that uniform.
Well, you know, I think we can... Well, the Army's got some cool ones because they went back to, I think, to the, like, World War II style.
Yeah.
Like the Army green or whatever.
Yeah. But at the time,
the Army had the blues or whatever, but the Marines always had the dress blues, right?
Yep.
And it's just iconic, right?
Yeah.
When you think of Marines, they're in their nice little, not, you know, nice uniforms.
Yep.
But I was like, man, I think I would look good in that.
You're like, I look fly like that. I guess I'll choose them.
Yeah, but after joining, like, I realized they're uncomfortable to be in for me. So I couldn't move my neck, you know.
You had
maybe I needed a bigger coat, you know. But
you had stiff neck. It was just
I was like
the whole
I
time.
can't move. Yeah, it was like a robot.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
That's great. And so you got into the Marines.
Yep.
What did you originally want to do for your job in there?
Well, at first I wanted to join the Navy because, like, at the time the Navy SEALs killed Osama bin Laden.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, those guys are the tip of the spear, you know?
Yeah.
And they seem like they're getting after it, and they're all on TV, and they're doing cool stuff. And Zero Dark 30 came out.
Yeah. Good movie.
And it had the SEAL Team 6 kicking in the doors and stuff in Pakistan. Which, I don't know, like, salute to them. And, you know, I was like, man, that's so cool. I want to be a part of that. Just like every other teenage boy, right? You know? But it didn't work out because I didn't take my academics seriously back then. So I was barely, like, getting through high school, right? So that really hindered me on what I could do. So I, you know, it's embarrassing to say, but on my first attempt for the ASVAB, which is like the SATs, I guess,
for military
equivalent, you know, to get in, you know, the academic test to get in, and I failed. I think a couple times, and the Navy recruiter said I could go to any other branch because I guess she got tired of me trying. And I wanted to be a corpsman too, you know, to learn the medical stuff. Yeah. Just in case, like, you know, say I didn't make it, I would hopefully get assigned to the Marines and help them. But it didn't work out with the Navy. So I was like, okay. And my competitiveness came out. And I was like,
And you also like to prove people wrong. I gotta put that out there.
yeah. So I'm very like Tom Brady. So like his mindset,
Yeah.
like they doubted him, and he arguably became the greatest of all time, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, okay. I went next door. I knew the Marine recruiter because he was always in the high school, right?
Yep.
And he was a goofball too. He was a little odd, but good dude though. It seemed
Yeah.
like he was funny. And yeah, I went in there and I was like, "What can y'all do for me?" And actually signed up for tutoring too on
Oh,
my
good.
own. So while I was working at Panera Bread, there was a studying place actually next door. So I would go there. Then I would go work my shift at Panera Bread. So and I got scheduled for the ASFAB like a month or so out. So they were only tutoring. The guy, I shout out to my tutor, he did everything in his power to get me to pass, right?
Wow.
So I wasn't going to get a 99, which is perfect,
Yeah.
but just to get me in
Yeah.
because I wanted just to go,
Yeah.
get signed up and leave Virginia, to be
Yeah.
honest. So,
Yeah.
I studied for like a month and I got like a 49 or something.
Is that passing?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
passing. I think for the Marines it was like 32 or something.
Okay, so it's above average.
I guess it was average, maybe. I was just happy I passed, and I think the jobs, because it's based on, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But originally I was supposed to be a combat engineer,
Okay.
which is like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but they do a lot of construction stuff, combat instruction,
Okay.
construction. I think I could
Okay.
be wrong on that, but I think they do some demolition too.
Okay.
But originally I was supposed to do that, but I kept bugging my recruiter to get me an earlier date. So I was like, dude, if there's any openings, let me know. And he called me and said there was an open contract for communications, and I was like, okay, my uncle that was 30 years or whatever, he did communications for his whole time, I think, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But thinking back on it, I shouldn't have done open contract because that's rolling the dice. Because whatever the needs of the Marine Corps is, they're going to throw you in that communications job. Yeah, so
so you don't really get your choice.
So I could have been like a computer guy, and I probably would have hated it,
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't find out my job, I think, until after boot camp, I think.
Okay.
Or after my Marine combat training.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're 17. You got your parents to sign off.
Yep.
You went to boot camp.
I had my 18th birthday in boot camp.
Oh.
Yeah.
That does not sound fun at all.
So they gave me a ship out date, I think it's called, like on 9/23.
Your birthday.
2013. Then my birthday is the 27th.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was like the first week there, and
you're like, happy birthday to me.
yeah, they're like yelling at everyone. I was like, man, why did I do this?
And you're like, they're yelling, but it's not yelling happy birthday. It's all angry.
They're like, just ride.
Yeah. The entire time. So your 18th birthday you spent in boot camp, and then throughout your career in general, we won't go too much into detail, just too much, but in general, you got to deploy a couple times. You got to go to Romania.
Yeah, so they assigned me the 0621 field radio operator. So basically, I was assigned to an infantry unit too after communication school. After 29 Palms, that's where communication school is. And they put me with the infantry unit. And I was like, I was kind of worried because it's like, because Marine combat training, I had infantry guys, instructors, on our last hike or
Yeah.
whatever. They're like, some of y'all, most of y'all, this is going to be your last hike. I was like, yes. I was like, yes, I don't have to do this
I don't
anymore.
want to hike anymore.
Then the joke's on me. I got assigned to an infantry unit.
And you had to hike?
Had to hike a lot.
Oh,
Had to hike a
no.
lot. So yeah, I was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines in Camp Lejeune. It was kind of
Wow.
like a full circle moment
That's pretty cool.
that I got assigned to the duty station where I would go visit when I was a kid.
Oh, wow. Full circle.
Yeah. So I was excited because I was close to home,
Yeah.
but I kind of wanted to stay in California or Hawaii because that would have been
Well,
cool.
I mean,
It's somewhere different,
Who
right?
doesn't want to stay in Hawaii?
Yeah, but I heard it's pretty bad out there.
Yeah, pretty expensive.
Expensive, and just training there sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got assigned to 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. Then I worked with a lot of the line companies, which are like the standard infantry, riflemen, machine gunners, and mortarmen, but I got assigned to weapons company permanently for the first deployment. So I was assigned to 81s. That's the type of mortar system that they were running,
Okay.
which is the bigger mortar tube than the
Yeah.
60s and the regular line companies.
Okay.
And I was worried. I was worried because I had to learn like how to do call for fire on the radio. So to my knowledge, I think I was one out of my like new radio operator class that got assigned to the infantry unit that had to learn that. I know
Wow.
some of my seniors knew how to do it, but I think I was the only one that knew that learned it.
Wow.
And I was worried because I heard it was hard.
Yeah.
Because you're like, working with forward observers on the other end of the radio, guiding the mortar rounds and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like I don't want to like, hurt somebody. Doing
Yeah,
it
like
wrong,
make the wrong call or
make
anything
the wrong
like
call
that.
or the wrong time because you're like sitting there counting the seconds
Yeah.
and everything when the round's gonna hit.
Wow.
And and letting the forward observer know or get the wrong data to the I forgot what it's called, the command center or COC or whatever. But yeah.
Wow. Very important, scary job.
Yeah, I was nervous, but I was grateful to get out of headquarters because
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Some of my seniors didn't like me because they said I had an attitude, but
You never.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Never. Well, we'll
yeah.
get to that in a second. But so you went from there. You did go to Romania
Yep. For the first deployment.
for the first deployment. I think
Yep.
you went to, you said Lithuania too?
Lithuania, I think that was the second deployment, but
Okay.
all the countries I went to is Romania, Lithuania, Latvia, the Republic of Georgia. I think that's it. Yeah.
Would you say that was one of the perks of being part of the military was the travel?
Well, that's the thing. I was grateful to be with the infantry unit because they get deployed a lot more than, say, like a desk job. I'm so happy that, I got to do that, at least to do something. But I was hoping that we would get a Middle East mission because at the time, the war was still going on. And when I first got to my unit, my seniors were coming back from Afghanistan. So I thought that our next deployment would be like Afghanistan or Iraq. But yeah. But I wish we would have got that mission, but I was still nervous because I didn't know what type of mission that we were going to be doing over in Eastern Europe. But yeah, I wish looking back on it, I wish we got the Middle East mission because the war was still going on.
But you still made a difference from what I understand.
That's up for debate, but you know.
You're too humble with it. But so you went to those places, you got to travel. You're coming up on the 4-year mark, right?
For
contract.
For the Marines.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ready to re-up. Now, with everything that's happened within your Marine career, right?
Yeah.
You said you had an attitude.
Yep.
Which I know you did because I know you.
Yeah.
But you're not the type, that's the thing, it's so interesting to me because you're not the type, you don't like following directions, you don't like being told what to do, but you also were really good at what you did in the Marines, right? And not only that, I've met a lot of your buddies too, and there's so much love and support around you. It's insane. Like how highly they talk of you.
Yeah.
So you come up on 4 years.
Yep.
You're ready to, or it's time to re-up or not. You choose not to.
Yeah. It was,
Can you tell me why?
It was on the second deployment where we could submit our re-enlistment packages. Mm-hmm. And I did it just in case. Mm-hmm. And when I, speaking of my attitude problem, I got in trouble for a tattoo. And I had a first sergeant say my career was over, basically.
Oh, that was in boot camp, right?
No, when I first got to my infantry unit.
Okay.
And, I thought my career was over because at the time the tattoo regulations were very strict. You can't have it a certain size or when it's showing visibly through your uniform or your green short sleeve shirt or whatever. And so I had a first sergeant say my career was over when I was like 19.
Wow.
And I was like, man, there goes my, dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
How did that affect you?
I think it affected me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to show, like, the seniors that was giving me a hard time. And they had every right to give me a hard time. So I'll just put that out there. I wasn't, like, the best Marine or a standout Marine or anything like that. I did what I had to do to get by, but I think that affected my mindset a lot. It's like I didn't even want to try anymore. It's like, why should I try when my career was going to be over, right? It's like I'm gonna just do my time and get out, and use my benefits or whatever for school or whatever. But yeah, I think it affected me a lot because I didn't want to try out for anything. And I just started, drinking a lot. I picked up smoking and stuff like that. I wasn't taking care of myself, and I wasn't doing the right things. And I was like, I just didn't care anymore. Like it kind of like, was it resentment or hatred was building up. Like, oh my God, like I don't even want to be here anymore. I don't care. So I think it affected my mindset a lot, so that I think maybe it would have been different if I made better decisions, maybe waited to get the tattoo or whatnot, but it's like the what ifs, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can fall down that rabbit hole if you go too much into it.
Yeah, I can't say like if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have, tried out for the sniper platoon, or like a lot of my buddies I think went off because did the whole MARSOC thing,
Special forces,
the special forces for the Marine Corps, or try to be radio operators for them. But I can't say I would have tried that, but like looking back, I wish I would have, because I had a couple opportunities. Like my gunnery sergeant that was assigned to us, he came from MARSOC as a radio operator, and that dude was awesome. He had so much knowledge, and so much deployment combat time. He would have been a good guy to learn from. And I mean, he asked for me to try for the sniper platoon. And it was on my second deployment. I was like, no, I don't want to do that crap. It's like, I just want to go home.
You were just done.
And then towards the end, right before I was getting out, a lot of our guys were trying out for to be radio operators for MARSOC. So they went through the training pipeline because it's like near Camp Lejeune. And a couple of them made it. And I was like, well, I was so happy for them. But I look back at it, I wish I would have took better care of myself and at least tried. Even if I failed, at least I could have said I tried. So.
And speaking of taking better care of yourself, because I know where you're at today, but while you were in the military, you got injured a few times.
Yeah. It's just wear and tear on my body, carrying like the radios and stuff like that, and on all the hikes that we've been on. And I think it was, I can't remember if it was after my first deployment or after the second. They assigned me to be the battalion commander's radio operator. So we were doing a conditioning hike. I think it was like 5K, which is like 3 miles or so, I think. And I was like running back and forth. So I was running with the radio up to the battalion commander to let him know what's going on. Then I would go back to my spot in the hike formation. And I tripped, but I caught myself, and all the weight went on to my lower back, the lumbar spine, and I just felt like a sharp pain. I was like I was like,
Yeah.
But I still finished the hike.
You always have to add that in. It's so funny to me. You're like, I think that's a guy thing too. You're like, but I still finished. I did it.
Yeah, it's like I never fell out of a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took a lot of pride in that because, especially being a radio operator, the infantry guys judge you if you're not infantry. It's like you have to earn your way with those dudes. And
you did. I've heard it from a lot of your buddies.
And it's like if they don't like you, they don't like you. There's a lot of radio operators that don't cut it, and they get kicked out and sent back to headquarters company.
Interesting.
And I didn't want to be that guy because I didn't like headquarters because you did a lot more paperwork.
Right. You're like, I don't want to do the desk work.
I didn't want to do the desk work. I like being out in the field, doing my job, right? Because I think I had more of a blue collar mindset.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't stand it. But eventually, I had to learn that stuff just in case.
Of course.
I've re-enlisted, and because if you stayed in communications, eventually you're gonna be in charge of people, other younger Marines, and you're gonna have to do all the paperwork and all that crap. So, but yeah.
But you did that to your back, and then didn't you do something to your leg as well?
I fractured my leg in boot camp, and I finished boot camp on a fractured leg.
Aye.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be dropped. I didn't want to be dropped or medically dropped because you stay there longer.
Aye.
Then you would have to pick back up in a new class once you're healed.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew graduation was at December 20th, and I knew we would get a month off because of Christmas. And I was like, I want to be home for that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay in freaking Paris Island over Christmas and be in the medical platoon.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, more power to you. You definitely have a very strong mental mindset, but also physical as well, to keep going. And with all of these things, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? We're going to have to do another episode to get really deep into this.
Yeah.
Which we will.
If people like this episode.
Yes. But with all of these things, now we're coming up on, is it time to re-enlist? And you obviously did not.
So I submitted my package.
You submitted your package.
Yeah, I submitted the package just to see if they would take me.
Okay.
Right. It goes back to that mindset of, proving people wrong, right? So I wanted to prove that first sergeant wrong, saying my career was over. after that. So I submitted the package, and they, like a staff sergeant came in and like took our pictures and stuff for whoever wanted to re-enlist, because they take pictures of you to see like what you look like. You like, like are you like overweight or whatever.
Did you get your double chin today?
Yeah, and stuff like that. And
So what was the transition like from military life to civilian life? Because I know for a lot of people that's probably one of the hardest things to get through.
yeah, yeah, I was so excited to get out.
Yeah, you're like, I'm done with this. No more
I was like,
hiking.
Yeah,
No more runs.
no more getting yelled at. None of this crap, standing in formations and stuff like that. I know that sounds bad to all the gung-ho military people, but it just got old, and I felt like I wasn't getting what I wanted out of my military career.
Which is fair.
And I thought, maybe I could just hang up my uniforms and not have to deal with it ever again. So I thought it would be easy getting out. But then you realize like all the friends and stuff like that you made. And you've been through a lot with these people for the past couple of years. A couple deployments, all the crappy field ops and stuff and hikes, and then it's all gone. And I think that was the hardest part, is like all that support group and stuff is gone. Like I didn't care about wearing my uniform ever again.
You cared about those men who stood beside you.
Yep. And then you come back home thinking it's like heaven.
Yeah.
But it's not.
You're like, you can only have so many McDonald's cheeseburgers before you ain't heaven anymore,
Yeah,
right?
or not waking up early and running, or
Yeah.
putting a pack on and running and all that crap.
Because you missed your boys.
But you didn't have that support system anymore. Or like when you're bored, it's kind of like, the best way to explain it is like when you leave college, like you have the dorms, and if you're bored, you go next door and your friend is like watching Netflix, and you're just sitting there and have dinner with them and watch Netflix.
There's always somebody around.
Or order pizza.
Yeah.
Someone's always around. Someone's drinking down the hallway and they offer you a beer to hang out, or play video games, whatever it is.
And it's people going through a similar situation as you, right? That the civilian world can't understand.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a student, the best thing. I've had a therapist say that once before. It's like a life transition or something. It's like a college kid did 4 years out of school, then they leave all their friends behind to go do a career and stuff. So I think that's the best way I can compare it to.
I understand that. I mean, heck, it was hard for me leaving college because I had made this little bubble of this world. Yeah, it's your identity. And you have to leave it, and then you're like let go, and you're not given directions on how to live in the real world.
Yeah.
You know? And so I can't imagine what it was like in that situation.
Well, it was hard. Was I happy to get out? Yes. But I wasn't happy that I thought it was going to be easier, right? But there's not a day that doesn't go by that I'm not thinking about my friends. So, yeah.
And how many years out have you been now?
I got out in 2017, so probably 7-8 years. Well, to put it in perspective, if I would have stayed in, I would have been a little bit over halfway to retirement. So people forget, you know, that I'm young, I'm 28, turning 29, but I joined when I was 17. So
It was over a decade ago.
yeah. So yeah, I would have been close to retirement. Well, halfway there. Yeah.
And you come out of the military, hardest thing transition-wise is, of course, missing your friends. But then you also had to learn how to live in the civilian world again. You had to find a job. You had to, find your new identity outside of the military. And I think you're okay with me sharing this at some point. But you were staying with your mom. And you were with your mom on an air mattress and no money and trying to get a job, and people wouldn't take a veteran, unfortunately.
Yeah, I like applied to like Verizon or something because my dad worked there.
Yeah.
And I've never like, really interviewed for like a normal like job
where they're not yelling at you.
Yeah, like I mean, I worked for like fast food and stuff.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
But that's like, applying for like an actual job with
right.
benefits. I bombed those interviews.
You're like, I totally admit it.
They're like, this guy is, oh God, how'd he get in the Marines or
yeah,
whatever? Because I just did horrible. I didn't know how to do that stuff.
Yeah, they don't teach you that.
Your interview process during, getting into the military is like going through boot camp, and it's more like physical. I mean, there's some like academics and stuff like that.
But you're not sitting there in a suit having a conversation about where do you see yourself in 5 years, you know?
Or on a teleconference.
Yeah.
And like be like, hey, what do you see in yourself? Like you said, 5 years, or like,
what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths?
What if Bob like took the company truck and ran it through Walmart? How'd you react?
Well, first I reported to HR.
First of all, I would assess the situation.
Yeah, you have to do that first, and then you go from there.
Then call my supervisor.
Which is true in some cases. I agree with you on that one. But so you didn't really have the real world skills, is what you're saying?
Nope. Nope.
Wow.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
You
would think that they would give you those skills to send you off into the world.
Well, that's the thing. Right before getting out, they send you to a 1-week course before you get out.
Yeah.
It's called, I think it's like TRS or something. Some crap, transition readiness.
Yeah.
Or whatever, some crap. But
you're supposed to be ready for transition in a week. Course.
Like how to do like resumes and crap like that. But they don't care. They're like government employees there that are comfortable. They don't get fired unless like something really bad happens. You know? They don't care.
Yeah.
They're I mean, a lot of them are like veterans, but they don't really care.
Yeah.
Once you get out, that was the biggest lesson I learned. Once you got out, they don't care what you did.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. They'll say thank you for your service, but in my opinion, they don't care. Outside of that, the thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people respect it and stuff, but I mean, I'm grateful for my experience, but people don't care. Yeah. They really don't. It's like,
yeah, I think people, like you said, respect it, and they appreciate those who are fighting for our freedom. But it doesn't hit the same anymore, especially not being, quote unquote, not being at war, right? Quote unquote. But I also think it's such a separate world from the norm of what we're all used to that we don't understand everything you all go through, other than like, oh, they fought for our freedom. That's awesome. Let me make sure respect them. Mm-hmm. But we don't understand everything about the military world, right? So you can be talking to a civilian, like you've done that with me, and we don't know what E6, E7, we don't know what any of this stuff means, and that's, I think, a hard place to relate to and understand what you all did, what you all really did, unless somebody takes the time to ask and actually listen.
Well, I'll just say, like, not every service member's experience is the same. Mm-hmm. Just like with anything in life, everyone is dealt a different hand, right? Mm-hmm. Or your job title is different, so you're not going to be experiencing the same things. Granted, I I didn't get the opportunity to do a combat deployment, but a lot like we were training for it, and a lot of my seniors did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some like, some of them were kind of crazy. Um, like some of them had like you'll see. I remember, like I think on Fridays we would wear our dress uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see like lance corporals with more ribbons than someone that's about to get out and retired. You know,
Wow.
It's like some of them got shot and stuff like that, or got in firefights.
Yeah. And
It's just different, right?
interesting.
But it's not gonna be the same as someone sitting behind a desk in Quantico, Virginia.
Right.
Everybody
Everybody has their job they need to do. Just everyone's experience is different.
Yeah, so whatever I'm saying could be totally different than someone that sat, well, not taking anything away from them, but it was just a different job title that they had,
It's just different for each
and maybe
person.
they experienced more or less, it don't matter, but
Yeah.
my experience is probably going to differ from others, so I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. So now we're 7 years removed. You still, I can say this being your fiance, you still, reminisce about those days. You still miss your boys. You guys stay in touch via video games and stuff because everyone's spread out everywhere.
Yeah, or we'll have reunions.
Or reunions as well. But I think you still, it's a hard transition still for you into the civilian world.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't fit in a lot, in my opinion, with some of the stuff I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate that my body's all messed up, and I can't do as much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I still, like, support, like, with the government contracting and stuff, which I'm grateful for. But if I could put on a plate carrier and go shooting and stuff like that with my buddies, I would trade it in a heartbeat. You can take all them. I'll do it for free. Maybe a little bit of money so I can take care of you. But I would love to get deployed or stuff like that, because I dread sitting behind a desk. I hate it. I hate it.
I think that goes back to, even though you had positive and negative experiences within the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably gonna be every Marine. Like, everyone's
Or any service.
or any service. Sorry, that's gonna be any service. There's gonna be positive and negative, but in the end, you really are once a Marine, always a Marine, and I do believe that's still in you, just from what you just said. And I think that's an important point to make as we're kind of like wrapping up this part of the podcast episode, because I want to get into the mental health side of it in the future, but it's just too much for one episode.
Yeah, it'll be overload.
Yeah, but
people.
I think it's important as we wrap it up to point out that no matter your experience within the military, every single serviceman, in my opinion, and woman, had a support system that's hard to find in the civilian world. And I think that's what connects you all more than just going to fight. Or, you know what I mean? Going through, training together.
Well, I'll say, like, any, like, public service, like, I think firefighters, police officers, a lot of those type jobs can relate. So that's why you see a lot of them very tight-knit. From what I see, because I can't speak for the firefighter and police departments, but it seems like they're very similar.
Of course.
Because it's just those hard jobs that, or it's kind of like a blue-collar job, like you have closer relationships, than, sitting behind a desk and the office drama. Like, I hate that stuff.
Oh, I do too. 100%.
But anyways,
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's another thing. But it's just like, you don't see a lot of that stuff, and you see more tight knit. They're having cookouts together. Their families know each other for the most part, stuff like that. So
Something you're not going to find in corporate America. At least I haven't found yet.
I mean, I've met some great people with the jobs I've done, but
Not that kind of.
I mean, very few. Yeah.
But I think, to end it all, that was a roundabout way to say you all are still connected, even if you don't feel it. And nobody's alone in feeling this.
Always, even if it's like making a group chat, even if it's annoying, like you get tired of the 1,000 messages or whatever, be grateful for it.
What would be 3 pieces of advice that you would give to newly inactive military members, those coming into the civilian world?
Like I said, try, if you were close to your platoon, because I know there's some people out there that are not. If you are, try to make a group chat, at least have something, at least stay in contact, even if it's sending funny memes every once a month, a couple times every 3 months, whatever it is, it can go a long way.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. Try to keep in contact with the people that you care about, because they're probably feeling the same way as you, because every single person I've talked to feels the same exact way, and I thought it was just me. I thought I was going crazy, but every single person from my unit, I think, that I've talked to felt the same way. They felt alone for the most part, struggling with their mental health. It's very interesting how connected we are with that, and it's sad too, but it's very interesting. But you said 3 things?
So that's number 1. Start that group chat.
I think take care of yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things. I was going to say that last, but I think I should mention that first. Take care of yourself. Don't try not to eat too many donuts, or
come on,
because you can, even if your body doesn't allow it, at least try to do something.
Yeah.
Whether it's going for a walk with a friend or your significant other, I think try to just don't be cooped up in the house, and I'm still working on that. I have a hard time leaving the house, but try to get out there even if you don't want to, and try to take care of yourself. So, just stay active. Don't eat too many donuts. Don't drink too much soda or drink alcohol or self-medicate too much or not at all.
Yeah.
But that rolls into my last one, and if you need help, please go get it. Because I used to think that all that psychology stuff was crap. That's what we're taught at the time. It's like if you didn't feel good or whatever, you kept it in. You don't talk about it at all. But if you need to get help, or you feel really bad, don't think of it as weak or anything. I think it takes a very strong person to be like, hey dude, I need help, or even tell your friend. Yeah.
I mean, heck, you're getting your master's in psychology, so obviously.
Yeah.
It's not a load of crap, right?
When I first, yeah, that's another story. I can tell you why I went down that route. But I thought it was a whole lot of rainbows and butterfly crap, Yep. But if it wasn't for it, I probably wouldn't be around today.
Well, I'm happy you're here.
Yep, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy every single military person is here.
Yes.
And we respect and thank every single person for their service. For those who are not with us anymore, unfortunately, We send our prayers to your family and your friends.
Yes.
We hope that you found peace.
Yes.
But thank you for sharing your story. This definitely was going to be a harder one, and we knew that.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a hug in a second.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your story.
Appreciate you, everyone listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone ever has any questions on this, if you are in the military or you're retired, please, please, please shout us out. Say, hey, that's me. Tell us your experience with that, how others can help veterans.
What branch, what years
branch,
you
all
served.
that stuff. We would love to read it and see it as well. And, you know, we've said this podcast is going to be a lot of ups and downs and hard and fun and everything in between. So we're just kind of sharing those parts of our lives. So no, it won't always be this heavy, but sometimes we need it to be.
Yes, and if people want, we can do a part 2.
Yes, we can. Please let us know that. It'll be probably on the mental health side.
Yeah, I can talk about that story. Yeah.
But I think make sure you come back next week. I think we're going to do wedding talk.
Yes, we're going to do some happy-go-lucky stuff. Or whatever.
Happy or like aggravated version of you with weddings, which will be funny.
Yeah.
Brandon's take on weddings.
Yes, me lost in the sauce.
Is it sexy red or forever red? Find out next week.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you all for listening so much.
Yep. One last thing, make sure you reach out, tell someone that you love them, and take care of yourself, and have a great day.